Punctures are rubbish. Now, if you want to get going again and be enjoying your bike, you're going to need some kind of pump or inflation device. There are different types out there, so we're going to explain the difference and show you which one is the fastest. Like many things, pumps come in all different shapes and sizes, and bigger isn't always better. Now, these three you would take out on a ride with you, whereas the track pump, that's designed to stay at home. That isn't coming with you, unless you're weird. The smallest and most compact option is this, which is a CO2 canister and a special valve which screws onto it and pierces the canister. The advantage of this is that it's very, very quick at inflating your tyres at the roadside. The disadvantage is that using them regularly over time is going to be quite expensive because you have to buy a canister every time. They're single use. And being single use, CO2 canisters, they're not the best thing for the environment and the polar bears. But where they are good is if you're in a race situation and you want to fix a puncture at the side of the road as quick as possible to minimise time lost, these things are great. Next up is the trusty mini pump. They come in a variety of shapes and sizes. This one is mine and it's on the smaller side, but don't let that fool you, it's pretty potent. Now, the advantage of one of these is that they fit easily inside your jersey or jacket pocket. And unlike the CO2 cartridge, which is one use, and every time you want to pump up a tyre you need a new cartridge, this thing, well, you can use it indefinitely, multiple times, pumping up multiple tyres. So if I leave the house with one thing, it's going to be this, and this would be a luxury extra. The initial outlay of a really good quality mini pump is likely to be more than a CO2 valve and cartridge, but like I said, over time it pays for itself and justifies the cost because you can just use it over and over again, and it's good for the environment. Next up is something like this bad boy. Now, it's bigger than a mini pump. It's not designed to fit into your pocket. Instead, this is designed to be mounted onto your bike, either sort of with a frame clip on the down tube or the top tube. And they come in, again, different shapes and sizes, so you get ones that are a bit bigger than this one. But by having a pump that's a bit bigger, it's a bit more powerful and it has a few more features. So, for example, this one has this little gizmo that pops out here, which means you can sort of mount it on the floor and stand on it and use it as a floor pump, which makes it a bit easier. You put a bit more effort into it. And by having a bigger cylinder and chamber in the actual pump itself, it can pump up much quicker than this and also achieve higher pressures. And an additional great feature that you find on some pumps of this size is actually, like on this one, there's actually a gauge on it there, so you can actually see which pressure you hit. Now, that is a big disadvantage that you don't get with these two. There's no way of knowing what pressure you've actually reached. And finally, here is the track pump as a point of reference. So I would always recommend that if you're starting out in cycling and you're buying a pump, you should get a mini pump, probably, and then also a track pump that you keep at home, because this thing can pump your tyres up to whatever pressure very quickly, and it's got a big gauge on it so you can see exactly what pressure you've got to before you ride. Again, they come in different shapes and sizes. There are some that are a lot cheaper, and as you spend more money, you tend to get a lot more features, and they tend to pump up your tyres to higher pressures, but also pump them up much quicker. So for example, this one, it's a really good one, it's got 2 cylinders in. So every time I pump, it delivers twice as much air, and it also has different settings on it so that I can actually put it into a mode whereby it puts really high volume of air in one push, and that's really good for setting up tubeless tyres. Well, enough of my yakking. I'm gonna pump up my tyre from nothing all the way to 70 PSI with each one of these different pumps, and then time it to see exactly how long each one takes so that you guys have a good idea. First up is the track pump. I said I was pumping to 70 PSI. I meant 60 because I've got 30mm tyres in and I want them at 60. So, right, start a timer, it'll appear on screen. First up, track pump, go. Oh, get the noggin on. Locks on there with that nice valve. And right. Come on. Done. 20 seconds. Next up, we've got the frame pump. It's Start the timer now. Right, let's get it on. Oh, not quite as easy to use as a floor pump. Boom. What's that? 44 seconds. Right. Whew. And I've burnt more calories. Mini pump time now. It doesn't have a hose like the frame pump did. That makes it a little bit more awkward to use. You have to kind of get down with it. But anyway, let's go. Start timer now. Oh. Get it on. Right. Right. Oh, what's that? 1 minute 26. Whew, I was going some there. Right, I tell you what though, just to double check it, I'm going to get the track pump and use the gauge on that to see where we've got to. 40. And finally, it's the turn of the CO2 canister and valve. This one's really nice because when you screw it on and pierce the canister, it doesn't just suddenly release all the CO2 because there's this little valve on the top that you press down. And that only activates when I press it onto my open Presta valve. So yeah, really convenient, really easy to use. When you do use a CO2 canister though, important safety thing is either wear gloves or have some kind of shroud over the canister because they get really, really cold when you release the gas and it can actually give your fingers frostbite. Right, start the timer now. Done. So that was 10 seconds to do that. But again, there's no gauge on here, so I've no idea what my pressure was. Let's have a look. 10 seconds and it went to 85 PSI. So yeah, way more than I need. It feels pretty hard. I only need 60 PSI in these 30s. So there you have it. The CO2 canister is by far the fastest, but overall the best pump is the track pump. And well, if you're only going to have one pump in your life, then for me it's got to be the mini pump really. Just I love how easy it is to store it and take it out on a ride. But let us know your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. And if you've enjoyed this maintenance video and found it useful, you know what to do. Thumbs up, subscribe, help support the channel. And right, I'm going to go get some lunch now at the cafe. Bye.